Major help is coming for the Texas offense. I'll tell you what I mean on today's episode of Locked On Longhorns. Intro.
You are Locked On Longhorns, your daily podcast on the Texas Longhorns. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. You were locked on to the Texas Longhorns. I'm your host, BK Brad Kellner, Texas grad, Austin local, and longtime sports radio host here in the Lone Star State. Thank you for making Locked On Longhorns a part of your day every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the FanDuel app today. My biggest takeaways from week 5 of the college football season and how they impact Texas, plus a few recruiting updates about some flip candidates for the Longhorns in the class of 2026. We'll get to those topics a little bit later. But first, some very welcome news for Texas football fans during the bye week. Stanford transfer wide receiver Emmett Mosley V was back on the practice field last week for the first time since suffering a lower leg injury in the first week of fall camp in early August. He was out there on Thursday, and the hope is that he will be good to go this weekend in the Longhorns SEC opener at Florida. This guy is a weapon, and the Longhorns need more from their passing game if they are going to get back to Atlanta and try to win an SEC championship. Currently, Texas ranks 67th in the country in passing, averaging 236 passing yards per game. The Longhorns are bottom 5 in the SEC in passing yards, completions, completion percentage. There are a lot of stats that kind of show that this passing game has been far from perfect. Of course, the Longhorns had their best passing performance and their best overall performance in the most recent game, that 55-0 shutout over Sam Houston. But the first 3 weeks obviously left a lot to be desired from a few different elements on this team, but especially with Arch Manning and the Texas passing offense. And yes, all of those stats obviously include the 343 yards that Texas had against Sam Houston. So those numbers were a lot worse than that before the fourth game of the year. And I think it goes without saying, you would like to see those numbers improve. Getting a big-time playmaker like Emmett Mosley V should help with that. In his true freshman season at Stanford in 2024, 48 catches, 525 yards, 6 touchdowns, and he did all of that in only 9 games. He missed the first month of the year coming back from a torn ACL that he suffered in his last year in high school, and you're never quite sure how people are going to react when they come back from a serious surgery like that. Some guys are never the same, and Emmett Mosley, not only was he coming back from ACL surgery, he was making the jump from high school football to college football, and he had no problem at all last season on a bad Stanford team, putting up big numbers and being a huge part of the Cardinal offense. Some more details on those 2024 statistics. 4 of Mosley's 6 touchdown catches actually came on 4th down. So you talk about trust, right? That's a big deal for Steve Sarkisian and Chris Jackson. It really is a big deal for the entire team, but you can tell this group keeps a pretty tight circle. There's not a lot of people in that circle of trust for Texas in that wide receiver room. They don't rotate there nearly as often as they rotate at some other spots on the field, so it takes a lot. You've got to really earn the trust and belief of your coaching staff to get those opportunities. Obviously, that was at a different program, but 4 of Mosley's 6 touchdown grabs being on 4th down, it shows you that was a guy that they trusted out on the field in big moments and in big spots. They often went his direction. The best game that Mosley had, 13 catches, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns in an upset win over Louisville. And some more deep dive numbers from Pro Football Focus. 41 of Mosley's 71 targets last season came on attempts that traveled less than 10 yards in the air. And he hauled in 32 of those 41 passing attempts. That's 78%. So I say that to tell you that this guy is a yak guy. You get the ball in his hands, he's going to cut up field, he's going to break tackles, he's going to make guys miss. He is going to make things happen. So over the middle of the field, you have him, you have DeAndre Moore. That can open a lot up for this Texas offense. And We know Arch Manning is capable of throwing the deep ball, but also, yeah, those short and intermediate throws, you'd like to see those improve. Having a big body, 6'2", 210-pound target with Emmett Mosley, who, again, has experience in the college level of, making those tough, nitty-gritty catches over the middle of the field and turning them upfield for more yards. That's good news for the Longhorns. And he's also a great contested catch guy as well. Again, that size gives him the ability to go up and win some of those 50-50 balls when he needs to. Emmett Mosley's a really good player. Like, don't get fooled by the fact that he started his college career at Stanford. Now, Texas recruited this guy. Just about everybody was recruiting Emmett Mosley V until he suffered that knee injury early in his senior year of high school. And Texas and a number of other big-time programs around the country, they backed off. But this guy, I mean, he had it. There was a reason so many teams were interested in him. This guy's got some serious skill, and he also comes from good stock as well. His dad played receiver and running back at Notre Dame. His mom played soccer at Notre Dame. She won the Herman Trophy back in 1996. 66. That'd be a story right there. 1996. No, that trophy has nothing to do with Tom, but it is the Heisman Trophy equivalent for college soccer. So he comes from great genes. Both of his parents, great collegiate athletes. We will hear more from Steve Sarkisian today, and I'm sure he will provide some sort of update on Emmett Mosley V. But earlier this month, Sark was asked about what Mosley can bring to this Longhorn offense, and he said, quote, he's very efficient and productive. He's got really good size. He's an excellent blocker, and he's got excellent hands. I like the fact that at Stanford, he played in the slot and outside. We were looking for a versatile player that can really do it all. He's got size. He's smart. He's a really good blocker. He's caught a lot of passes. And so I think he's going to be in the mix for us, a guy who's not a one-dimensional player that's really going to fit into our style of offense, end quote. And I think that's a key as well. Stanford's offense last year, a lot of pro-style concepts, right? Some similarities to what Texas is running here in Austin. And it's interesting, Sark, maybe a month or two ago, compared Emmett Mosley's situation to that of Matthew Golden, who, of course, transferred to Texas from Houston last offseason, put up great numbers for the Longhorns, was a first-round pick, now doing it big for the Green Bay Packers. That was an air raid offense that Matthew Golden was playing in with Dana Holgorsen and company down at Houston. He basically had to learn an entire new playbook and a bunch of new schemes and concepts, and despite all of that, right, Matthew Golden put up some really good numbers, and he blossomed into a first-round pick, and he was the best receiver that Texas had. Steve Sarkisian has been talking about Emmett Mosley, and of course, this all got stunted because of the injury, but he basically told us before the injury that he's hit the ground running at a faster pace than Matthew Golden did when he got to Austin. So it helps that those guys kind of speak the same football language because of the offense that Stanford ran during Mosley's freshman season. One more quote, this one from Chris Jackson, the Longhorns wide receivers coach. He's the same person I saw from his junior film in high school before his injury. This is a kid that plays at his own speed and can run crossing routes, that provides a big body and good catch radius and a good frame to catch the 50-50 balls. He's physical and a very intelligent young man. This is who I recruited, end quote. So, again, those last two quotes that I just read before the Emmett Mosley injury. Now, again, we've seen him come back from a more serious injury and play really, really well. Now, he's obviously missed the first month of the season, hasn't been on the practice field very much either, so maybe a bit behind the eight ball when it comes to chemistry. But I'm telling y'all, I think Emmett Mosley is going to be a difference maker. You've got now 4 really good receivers that I think this coaching staff is going to trust. Parker Livingston looks like the real deal. Ryan Wingo, it seems like the Arch Wingo connection issues that were there for the first 3 weeks, those seemingly got righted against Sam Houston. DeAndre Moore coming back from his concussion had a really good game against Sam Houston as well. So this would be huge to have all 4 of those guys on the field at the same time. Texas only went out and got 1 transfer wide receiver. They got 3 the year before. They just went and got 1. They trust the guys that they have, but that also means they really liked what they saw from Emmett Mosley V, and they felt like he could be a key contributor to this team. It'd be huge to get him back. So, of course, we'll be monitoring Mosley's status throughout the week. This Saturday is an SEC game, meaning we'll get our first injury reports of the season. So all of those things, plus what Sark says today, will tell us, what we need to know about Mosley's status. Hopefully he's back this week, but we know he's on his way to making his Longhorn debut, and he will be a great shot in the arm to this Texas passing game that needs one right now. Also getting Tre Wisner back. That guy had 44 catches last year. He's a threat as a receiver out of the backfield. Him returning from injury is going to help this Texas offense as well. And they need it. Even though Florida's 1-3, they still have a really, really good defense. Obviously, Oklahoma 1 week from Saturday. They've got a great defense too. So it's all hands on deck. And again, to make it to the SEC championship and to make a deep run in the playoff, this passing offense has to take it another step. Hopefully, getting some guys back from injury can help with that. What say you? What's your confidence level in Emmett Mosley V coming in here and making some things happen for Texas right away? All right. No game for the Longhorns, but man, we learned a lot about some of the Longhorns' upcoming opponents. What a weekend of SEC football. I will give my biggest takeaways from week 5 and how some of these results impact the Longhorns going forward. That's next on Locked On Longhorns. Oh, but first, a shout out to our friends at 5-Hour Energy. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5-Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot provides the same caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. That's the key. I actually had a 5-Hour Energy on Saturday to get me going to watch all of the football action all morning, afternoon, and night. I love how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot. You could take it anywhere and get that boost whenever you need it. The grape is my go-to. The blue raspberry solid. Again, so many different flavors, 17 of them to choose from. So there's got to be one for you. It's fast and it's sugar-free, so I don't have to worry about that later crash. Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites you love or be bold and try something new, either in-store, online at 5hourenergy.com, or on Amazon today. All right, welcome back to Locked On Longhorns, your team every day. What a weekend of college football we just witnessed. I mean, we had a little bit of everything. It started on Friday with Florida State going down at Virginia. That TCU-Arizona State game was pretty good too. Game-winning field goal there. But obviously, the action continued well into Saturday. We had upsets. We had overtime thrillers. We had controversy. We had just incredible action all over the country. Normally, I'm pretty mad when Texas doesn't play, but with how many great games there were, I was okay just kind of kicking my feet up, stress-free Saturday, and enjoying all of the action. And a lot of that action came in the Southeastern Conference. I'll dive into a few of the SEC games in particular in a moment, but my biggest takeaway is something that I kind of believed going into the weekend. Now I think it's obvious. This conference is wide open, y'all. I mean, it is wide open. The 2 highest ranked teams in the AP poll both went down, with LSU losing at Ole Miss and Georgia losing at home to Alabama. All of a sudden, 5 weeks into the year, Ole Miss, the team picked to finish 7th in the SEC preseason poll, they're the highest ranked team in this week's AP poll, coming in at number 4, jumping 9 spots for their win over LSU. I can't really call it an upset because they were favored by our friends at FanDuel, but they move all the way up to number 4. Oklahoma, who did not play this weekend, they were picked to finish 10th in the SEC. They're right behind Ole Miss at number 5 in this week's poll. Texas A&M picked to finish 8th in the preseason poll. They're at number 6 right now in the top 25. Texas is 9, Alabama's 10. So we've got 5 SEC teams in the top 10. Yeah, the Longhorns moved up a spot. Thanks to Virginia for helping out with that. So maybe no one's surprised that you've got 5 SEC teams in the top 10, but the order, I don't think anybody expected Ole Miss, Oklahoma, and Texas A&M to be here as the calendar's about to turn over to October to be the 3 highest ranked teams in this league. The projected top 6 in the SEC preseason media poll: Texas, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, South Carolina, Florida. All 6 of those teams have lost a game. Florida's already lost 3 games this year. So, yeah, always deep. The SEC feels even deeper than it's ever been. And again, this thing feels wide open. It doesn't feel like there's a dominant or flawless team. I don't know if there is anywhere in the country, but especially not in the SEC. Looking back at Saturday's games in particular, Georgia lost a home game for the first time since 2019. I get it. They struggle with Alabama. They struggled against Saban. Now they're 0-2 against Kalen DeBoer. So I know Alabama's been a thorn in the side for Georgia for a long time, but beating them in Tuscaloosa, beating them on a neutral site, that's one thing. Going into Sanford Stadium and beating Georgia like that's crazy. First home loss for Georgia since 2019. Of course, Texas has to make a trip to Athens in mid-November. All of a sudden, it feels possible. Now, we're going to know a lot more about both of these teams by the time we get to November 15th. But like seeing somebody else go in there and beat Georgia between the hedges in a night game gives me some faith that, hey, it actually can be done. And hey, maybe this Georgia team isn't as talented or as deep as they have been in recent years under Kirby Smart. They look vulnerable. Now, obviously, that was a huge win for Kalen DeBoer in Alabama, but we saw what Alabama did against Florida State in week 1. Now, Florida State might not be as good as some folks cracked them up to be. You look at that game, you look at some of Kalen DeBoer's losses last year. I mean, they lost a bunch of games as a big favorite last season. One to Vanderbilt, who Alabama plays this weekend. I say all of that to say I don't think Alabama's a perfect team by any stretch. I had them in the playoff before the year started. I think they're really good. But again, they've got some issues as well. They are far from perfect. LSU, of course, they slipped up at Ole Miss. Their offense is anemic right now. Like, they only scored 20 points in that Florida game when DJ Lagway threw 5 interceptions. LSU hasn't scored more than 23 points against an FBS team this year. And the only FBS team they got 23 against was Louisiana Tech. So I know they beat Clemson. That doesn't look very impressive right now. I know they beat Florida. That doesn't look very impressive right now. Both of those teams are 1-3. LSU's defense, I think, is really good. But that offense, Garrett Nussmeier, not looking like the Heisman contender that folks thought he was going to be. So LSU's got some problems. Ole Miss, hey, give Lane Kiffin some love. Trinidad Chambliss, what an incredible story that he's been transferring in, coming in off the bench, playing really well for Ole Miss. But I don't think that's a flawless team as well. And I don't know if I trust Lane Kiffin in October and November and some of these bigger games that they have coming up. So, look, I wish I could sit here and tell you all that I think Texas looks complete. But unfortunately, we've only seen one complete team from this football game through the first 4 games that they've played. This league is wide open. I think it probably exists beyond this league too. But man, I mean, multiple top 5 teams lost. Others were on the ropes. Offenses everywhere were clunky. Our rosters have holes in them. So many penalties. God, a huge story of the weekend. Again, that doesn't mean the issues the Longhorns have, shouldn't be fixed or can't catch up with them. But watching college football on Saturday, the problems that Texas has had are not unique to Texas. And it's not just bad teams that are doing some of the bad things that the Horns are doing. There's some damn good teams that have some big issues right now. So that's a takeaway. Another takeaway I had from watching, the Texas defense is awesome. Like, I saw 0 defenses on Saturday or Friday for that matter that look faster or more talented or deeper or more communicative than Texas. Like, there are patchwork sides on just about every team, right? Some teams have offensive issues. Some teams have defensive issues. Some teams have both. I just like the continuity of the Longhorn defense. We knew they were elite last year. I think we expected them to be pretty elite this year. But despite losing the guys that they lost, the fact that they're as good as they've been so far, and again, looking around the country, maybe Ohio State, the number 1 team in the country, their defense might be Texas level good, but there's not a lot more outside of Columbus, Ohio, that I think could go, blow for blow with this Texas defense right now. I think it's proven to be elite already, and I expect that to continue in SEC play. So back to the major takeaway, the main takeaway. This thing is wide open for the Longhorns to make a run back to Atlanta. It's not going to be easy. I mean, Mississippi State took Tennessee to overtime. That game looks a lot tougher in Starkville. Now, Vandy's undefeated. We'll see what they do against Alabama this weekend. But, that's not an easy win, even though that's a game in Austin. Obviously, the Georgia game is still on the schedule. A&M has yet to lose a game. We'll know more about them by the end of the year. But Texas has a golden opportunity here to take advantage. I don't want to call it a down conference because it's not. It's so deep. It's the deepest league in the sport by far. But again, no perfect team. It's a golden opportunity, and these next 2 weeks are huge. The Longhorns opened up as 7.5-point favorites at Florida. I know it's in the swamp. I know Florida's going to be desperate. If you can't win that game, you're not an SEC championship type of team. That's the type of game that you win, even though it's on the road, if you are a legit SEC and national title contender. Oklahoma, we'll see if John Mateer is going to play. We know he's not playing for the Sooners this weekend. Obviously, a lot tougher if he's in there. If he's not in there, you don't want him hurt, but golden opportunity. All of a sudden, that game is a lot more winnable. And even though the country might hold something against you if you win that game without Mateer playing, guess what? In the SEC standings, they all count the same. Mateer in, Mateer out. That'd be a win for Texas. So 2 opportunities these next couple of weeks to start off with some wins and show that you're a legit contender in this conference. Like last year, Texas was the only one-loss team in the SEC. I'm not sure anybody's going to have only one loss. I don't think anyone's running the table. I'm not sure there's going to be a 7-1 team in the SEC this year with just how good and deep this conference is. And again, how many kind of flaws that some of these top teams have. What say you? Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? Who do you think is the best team in the SEC going into October? All right, how about some recruiting updates? A couple of flip candidates that the Longhorns have been putting in some serious work on. We've got the latest next on Locked On Longhorns. But first, one of the tools that can help make a big difference for business owners is Quo, formerly OpenPhone. Y'all heard us talk about OpenPhone a lot. Now they are Quo. It's the same great business phone system you've heard me talk about before, just with a new name. And here's why it matters. Every missed call is money left on the table. When every customer conversation counts, you need a phone system that keeps you connected 24/7. Quo is the #1 business phone system that streamlines customer communications. It works right through an app on your phone or computer, so no more carrying 2 phones, no more having to rely on an old landline. Quo is so easy. Everyone on your team can use it, and you can stay locked in 24/7. So see why more than 90,000 businesses trust Quo, formerly OpenPhone. Get started free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedoncollege. That's QUO.com/lockedoncollege. If you've got existing numbers with another service, Quo will port them over at no extra charge. It's Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. And some love to our friends at FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right. You pick a bet, you put down $5. If your bet hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So many great ways to play on FanDuel. Parlays, player props, live in-game betting. Monday night doubleheader tonight. Can take advantage with FanDuel. It makes watching football so much more exciting. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com today to download the FanDuel app and get started. All right, final segment of a Monday edition of Locked On Longhorns. A couple of quick hitting recruiting updates to wrap up a Monday show. Of course, we are just over 2 months away from the early National Signing Day coming up in December. Some interesting developments happening along the trail. We will start with the latest on 3-star edge Tre Quinn. Back in June, Tre Quinn committed to Clemson over Texas. Those were the 2 finalists. He chose Clemson. Well, here's the good news for the Longhorns. On Thursday night, Quinn announced that he was decommitting from the Tigers and reopening his recruitment. I don't blame him. Clemson looks really bad right now, and they're talking about Dabo Swinney stepping down or getting rid of Dabo. It's a mess out there. You know, Clemson has a pretty strict no-visit policy, so Quinn hasn't been to Austin or anywhere else for a while. Like, he had to decommit before he could start going to see other places. Now he's done that. He is back on the market, and I've seen a couple of crystal ball projections, again, since that Thursday night decommitment that believe the Longhorns are going to end up with Tre Quinn. Alan Clark, who's the Longhorns edge coach, he was actually in Georgia over the weekend hanging out with Quinn and his family. So the Longhorns are on the prowl here. That's the good news. The bad news is Texas isn't alone. Tennessee's in the mix. Ohio State's in the mix. Both of those teams were in this recruitment in the summer. So they're still around. But it does sound like the Longhorns have a slight edge here. No pun intended, for the edge from Georgia. By the way, to get you a little bit more excited about Tre Quinn, last October, Grayson Littleton decommitted from Clemson and ended up signing with Texas. He's been the most impressive freshman for the Longhorns so far. So hopefully Lightning can strike twice with those Clemson decommitments. Another potential flip target, 4-star athlete Jalen Lott from Frisco, Panther Creek up there in the Metroplex. Lott is currently committed to Oregon. He's been committed there for a couple of months. Now, not sure Oregon beating Penn State on the road is going to help the Longhorns' chances too much, but Lott was in Austin for the Sam Houston game last weekend. He said he enjoyed the visit. He also said that he really enjoyed his time with wide receivers coach Chris Jackson. And Lott is a Texas legacy. That's the thing that gives me hope that Texas is still in the mix here. Both of his parents played sports and graduated from the University of Texas. So, look, Lott could want to go blaze his own path. It's hard to blame anybody for wanting to go play football at Oregon right now. They've got a lot going for them. But this is a guy, again, from the state of Texas. Parents went here. He's got some friends on the Longhorns team that he talks to a lot. He was high school teammates with Parker Livingston and Dalen McCutcheon for a bit at Lovejoy before he transferred to Panther Creek. So Texas in the mix here. Again, he's still committed to Oregon right now. But I think this is a two-horse race between Texas and Oregon. There's some other schools trying to get involved. But I think this is closer to a 50-50 battle than people think. Great athlete, plays both ways. He's a track star as well in high school. I think he wants to do all of those things in college. Play offense, play defense, also do track and field. This guy is a freak athlete, and there's a reason so many big-time programs are after him. He's got 535 yards and 11 touchdowns already this season, like a month into the high school season. Pretty damn good. And last but not least, not a flip candidate here, but a guy, if you're not already excited about this guy, if you're a recruiting junkie, I think you are. But if not, here's a name for you to remember. Jermaine Bishop, the 5-star athlete commit, plays for Willis High School down in the Houston area. Jermaine Bishop deserves some congratulations because on Friday, he became the Houston area's all-time leader in career receiving yards with 3,601. He entered Friday's game needing just 54 yards to break the record, and he had 5 catches for 68 yards and 2 touchdowns in a 49-6 blowout victory for the Willis Bearcats over Cleveland. Some of the other names in the top 10 that Bishop passed to get to number 1, CeeDee Lamb and the aforementioned Matthew Golden. So some big company that Bishop is with, and now Bishop just passed. And he's 39th in state of Texas history in terms of receiving yards. He's on pace to, I think he's 731 yards away from getting in the top 10 in terms of receiving yards all time in the state of Texas. And that includes like the 1As and the 2As and the 3As too. We're talking about a 6A football player putting up those kinds of numbers. That is big time. This guy's a hell of a player. A hell of a pickup for Texas, and can't wait to watch what he does the rest of the year in his senior season of high school ball, but more importantly, what he does when he gets to the 40 acres in 2026. So there you go. A few recruiting updates and something to get you excited about. We always like to end on a high here on Locked on Longhorns, and that'll do it for today's show. If you made it this far, number 1, thank you very much. Number 2, please remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment. That's one of the fastest ways to help us grow. Really do appreciate y'all making Locked on Longhorns a part of your day. For your next listen, check out Locked on Bets with my man Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers. They are your one-stop shop for all of your sports betting needs, game picks, the lock of the day. They're giving out free plays every single day on that show. You can find Locked on Bets on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. We'll have some sound from Steve Sarkisian on tomorrow's show and more preview of Texas's SEC opener against Florida. But that'll do it for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, horns up, mic's off. We'll see y'all soon. This is Locked on Longhorns.